reliable in finishing at half 4 instead of 5. So we have like basically an hour and a half. So if we can squeeze like both presentations in this time, you think it's possible we can do that? It's only one presentation. Okay. So we might even finish earlier. Quizás incluso terminemos más temprano. Entonces, así son los buenos talleres. Entonces, pues muchas gracias. So the next speaker will be Natalia? Oh, Jim. Okay. So James McNeith nos va a dar la siguiente presentación entonces. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, you go. Pressure's on. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Okay, good afternoon. I hope everybody had a good lunch. A nice break. So now we have the data access lesson on how to access all these data products that you want and the different ways to do that. Some are accessible to different groups, so we'll talk about that today. I want to also acknowledge the help I've had from all my contributors, including Gabriella. She's been a big help here in putting these slides together. We're going to also have Scott come up and talk a little bit about the CSPP Geo later, I think. We'll see how this works. If we don't have time, we might have to do that later. So what we're trying to do in this lesson, as far as the objectives, is to provide you an overview of the GOES-R series data access. I've already covered the Office of Satellite Product Operations, so I'll be skipping that. We'll talk about GOES rebroadcast. That was one of the 2 direct broadcasts on the GOES-R series that I talked about earlier. The other one is the high rate information transmission, Emergency Managers Weather Information Network, the HRIT MWIN, and the production, distribution, and access, which oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yep, thank you for that. We'll also talk about Geonetcast, but we have a whole workshop on that, so I'll just cover a couple slides. Natalia will give an introduction on that later, and I'll talk about some of the internet access. I see it's delay here. Okay, I'm going to skip this slide since we talked about that already. So for an overview, we have a number of ways that people can get products. The GOES rebroadcast, as I mentioned, is the primary relay of full resolution, calibrated near real-time data from the GOES-R. And as I mentioned, we get level 1B from 5 of the 6 instruments and level 2 from the GLM. And that is a data rate of 31 megabits per second. The second one, the high rate information transmission Emergency Managers Weather Information Network, is 400 kilobits per second. And that's a new service, and it replaces the legacy LRIT service and the legacy MWIN service that's on the old GOES 13, 14, and 15. The product distribution access is in the Environmental Satellite Processing and Distribution System, located at the NOAA Satellite Operations Facility in Suitland, where I work. And the PDA provides products as well, and provides them in near real time, and provides products only to authorized operational users. Non-operational users and users that do not have a real-time need can retrieve products from the Comprehensive Large Array Data Stewardship System class. Now, you're familiar with Geonetcast Americas, and it's the Western Hemisphere component of Geonetcast, which is the near real-time global network of satellite-based data dissemination systems. Also, a number of GRB sites maintain websites and distribute products in other means. And so I'll describe some of those as examples. And we have a demonstration project underway demonstrating the capabilities of the cloud to distribute products. It's called the Big Data Project. And so for now, those sites are available. You can look at those as well. And I'd mentioned the National Weather Service's Advanced Weather Interactive Processing System that forecasters use in our National Weather Service. Well, they receive that data from a satellite broadcast network that NOAA provides a stream to a commercial satellite service that provides that. It's also available not only to the National Weather Service, but to sites that have a NOAA port receiver. Now I'm going to launch into the GOES rebroadcast, the GRB. And this is my job at OSPO. I chair the GRB user group. So we have 140 members in this user group. And anybody that's working with this service can join. The GRB downlink is standards-based. It's documented in 2 key documents that you can get from the GOES-R website. The first one is the product definition and user's guide that describes GRB data formats and how the data is structured. And the second one is the GRB downlink specification. The downlink specification has all the information, all the technical information about the GRB downlink, including the antenna characteristics and receive station requirements. Now, we don't provide those receive stations. Users have to either build their own or purchase one. Fortunately, there are many vendors now and manufacturers that provide hardware and software. C-Space is one. That's the company that installed the system here. There are others as used a simulator that the program office provided, and that simulator simulated the GRB single, so the vendors and manufacturers could test that out, test their solution out early. And the University of Wisconsin did that and developed software called the CSPP, the Community Satellite Processing Package, and that CSPP software ingests the level 1 products based on these specifications, displays the level 1B, and generates a subset of the level 2 products at the receive station, like here. So the products that we have on the GRB I mentioned are all 6 of the instruments, and level 1B for the 5 ABI and 4 space weather, and then level 2 for the geostationary lightning mapper. But most of the products are level 1B. Well, Gabriella had this slide up earlier. Thank you for doing that. I can actually save some time. So, I appreciate you doing it because I'm going to skip right over this. So this is a comparison between the GVAR and the GRB. And you can see what an improvement we have with the GRB. And you'll have the slide to look at. So as I mentioned, to receive the GRB signal, you need a fixed dish antenna with dual left and right-hand circular feed horn connected to 2 low noise amplifiers. That's because we have 2 channels, the left-hand and the right-hand channel. Each channel is about 15 megabits per second, so combined, we have 31 megabits per second for a data rate to work with. The radio frequency and the intermediate frequency down converters are connected to the digital video broadcasting S2 capable receiver. There are a number that are on the market. So again, this is a standard and a commercial solution that's available. And the GRB downlink signal from the satellites at a center frequency of 1686.6 megahertz. And we have a link budget that I have if anybody needs it, and I make that available to you. And that has the antenna gain to noise temperature of 15.2. We have a margin that I'll show you in a minute, about 5. So an interesting thing here I just wanted to note is that, oh, wait a minute. There's some more information here about the 2 channels. The nominal antenna size is 4.5, but we do have some users that have smaller antennas, such as 3.8. Most of those are in the continental United States. A user who is on the perimeter of our coverage area, like in France, for example, would need a larger antenna, maybe a 6 meter. And because we have dual polarization, a decision was made early to put products on the left-hand channel that would be similar to what's on the legacy GOES and the GVAR. But as far as I know, our users are using both channels. I don't know of anybody that's only using one channel. But we do have the majority of the products are on the right-hand channel. So I was describing this before, and we have the instrument data coming down to the Wallops, the Wallops Command and Data Acquisition Station being processed, the level 0 data, which are basically ABI or the detector values being processed then and converted, and eventually being converted into pixel values registered in a fixed grid. And that's all done at Wallops, and the end product there is a level 1B product that's sent back up to the satellite. Level 1B product then comes back down on the GRB stream to the direct broadcast users like the station here, and also to the NOAA Satellite Operations Facility in Suitland. So anybody that's working with this data, even in or if you have an interest in it, then you want to get these documents. And one thing we do for the user group is that we provide draft versions of advanced versions so Gabby would have the version that is up to date with the current software. So we can't update this document as often as we update the software. We update the software quite a bit, and we have a capability to do that. In addition to the capability of using our contractor, Harris, we have a team that can do that on our own. So we do make software changes, and we provide a draft version of the product definition user's guide to Gabby and the other members early, so they'll be ready. We just did that. It worked very well. We just made some changes in some space weather products, and the users were ready for those changes because we released an early version of this document. So this is the way the document's structured. It has a lot of information in it. One thing that's interesting is I mentioned that the GRB downlink is standards-based, and it works in layers. So the off-the-shelf commercial front-end processing components are available to receive the outputs from a DVB S2 receiver, and then extract it and output IP encapsulated CCSDS based data packets. CCSDS is the Consultative Committee for Space Data Systems, and it's a standard. And the space data packets then are retrieved, and then using the AOS, or the Advanced Orbiting System Space Data Link Protocol, frames are extracted, and then from the frames come packets, and from the packets we derive data. We have the image payload all documented, so these files are self-sufficient. The payload has an image payload header and an image payload data. So this is all documented and structured. And the important thing here on the GRB channel content summary is that everything is self-contained. So not only did we provide the NetCDF formatted products, we also provide information about the data, the metadata, and we even provide an information packet that we can put more information into. We have calibration data that's included and error correction data that's included. So it's a self-contained package that comes in on the direct broadcast. So you can see the ABI, SUVI, GOM, the space weather products, Access. Are, and we provide that link budget to anybody that needs it. And that's what this is here, just an example, some of the aspects of the link budget. So we get down to the bottom there, the calculated, down the bottom of this slide, the calculated margin, 5.7, which is a pretty good margin. Well, what a lot of people want to know is what's the RF coverage? So how far can I be and still get GOES 16, for example? And so this is an example that MIT Lincoln Labs provided. And you can see the center positions there for GOES East at 75.2, the checkout position for 89.5, where GOES 17 is now. The storage position, 105. The GOES West is actually 137, and that it's in the right place. It's just they mark the longitudes. So GOES West 137. And so you can see the center positions. And then if you go out to the limb, you can see this would be the extent for GOES West at 137. And this would be the extent at 105. And this is the GOES 16 extent at 89.5. I'm sorry, GOES 17, 89.5. And then this one right here is GOES East in its current position at 75.2, and this is the western extent. So I mentioned this before, and this becomes important with GRB because of when the data is put on GRB for the beta PSPVRs. So that's why we pay close attention to these schedules. What do you think, Scott? You want to try it? If I can bring the other slide up. Okay, I'm going to try to move on to another slide package that Scott has. They're in English. Oh, wait a minute. That's not going to work because we don't have the...
I can just talk to these two.
Okay, so come on up. So Scott actually works at the University of Wisconsin with Graham Martin, who's the lead on CSPP Geo. I work closely with Graham, and Scott's agreed to talk to these two slides. Thank you.
You should have a drink right now or something. Okay, thanks. This is a freely available package that you and they have funding, I believe, and they work with all the developers. So this is supposed to mimic the ground system from Harris. And NOAA has funded this, so there's an alternative for other people to get at the data. So it's just another way to make the data available. I'm around tomorrow and Wednesday. You'll hear me talking a lot. So if you have any questions on this, I can either answer them and say, well, I know who can answer that question. So.
Thank you, Scott.
Sure.
Okay, so this actually becomes important in the case where when we talk about the PDA and we have only so many subscriptions available on the PDA. This is a way for direct broadcast users to generate level 2 products instead of getting them from some other source. So we work closely with the University of Wisconsin so that University of Wisconsin is using the same algorithms that are in the ground system. They implemented a little bit differently, but they're the same algorithms. So I'm going to shift over to GOES 17 now, just talk a little bit about that and GRB. And I mentioned that that we will put GRB. We are putting GRB Exus products on, or GOES 17 Exus products are on GRB. Sorry about that. So I'll say that again. GOES 17 Exus products are on GRB now. We hope to put the ABI products on, and we will put ABI products on at the beta review, after the beta review. So I've already mentioned the data sharing, so I'll skip that. I think I pretty well covered this. The only thing that I hadn't covered before is on CLASS. You can see that CLASS, which is our archive, is also receiving products prior to the beta validation. But again, that's used for calibration and validation. So it's not available to anybody other than the CalVal team. But after beta, then after provisional, then other users can get it. At beta, only the GRB users get it because we're using it for testing. But at provisional, then everybody gets it. So just to recap then, when the instruments are outgassed and then data is available to come down on the primary link, which is the raw data flow at 100 million bits per second, that's coming down to wallops. And that internal flow is only used for testing, and that's when we realized we had an issue with the cooling system on GOES 17. But nobody else is seeing that data. That's being used internally. We also have a capability to store that level 0 data for 7 days. So we can store that at wallops if we need to go back and look at something. But beginning with beta maturity level, and that's done at the peer stakeholder product validation review, then we start the external product distribution. GRB will be populated after the beta. The PDA, or the product distribution access, and the satellite broadcast network for the weather service will flow data to their respective users for CalVal purposes, calibration and validation. But the PDA still won't serve anybody other than the CalVal teams. So now when we get to the provisional level, after the provisional review, and if the peer stakeholder product validation review team recommends provisional validation, then all subscriptions open to the PDA and to the broadcast for all users that receive those products. And the HRID MWIN will start broadcasting, and the Geonetcast Americas will get its feed from the PDA. And again, that's what our schedule looks like for GOES 17. I'm sorry. I've talked about GOES Mode 6 already, so I'll skip that. So for GOES West, I know we don't have many users that will use GOES West, but what we do tell the users is that they need to be prepared. And at this point, I would say be prepared to receive both GVAR and GRB. With GOES East, it was a matter of receiving both if they wanted to compare the two before we moved GOES 13 to storage. But because of the investigation that's underway with the cooling system anomaly, it'd be a good idea for GOES West GVAR users to plan on keeping their antenna. And if they're going to install a GRB antenna, purchase a new one instead of upgrading. That's what I would recommend now. But we'll get more information on that later. But we tell them what they need to know as far as the differences, what they need to know in order to receive the GRB. Pretty much everything I've just told you, we make sure people know. We've been doing this for a number of years now. We present papers at different conferences, American Meteorological Society, and through different venues and on our websites. And we have a manufacturers list that I have the link for there, and we try to keep this list current. And a lot of these people that are listed on here are participating in our user groups as well. Well, through the GRB user group, we've been able to find out who's planning on installing a GRB receive station and who's installed them and receiving data. And a station is considered to be an antenna and a receive station like I described earlier, and the software to process it. And so I've accounted for 77 of those receive stations. And by breaking it out, I just chose to break it out this way. It could be broken out differently, but U.S. government 32, commercial users 14, academic 7, military, that's U.S. military 8, that's mostly the United States Air Force, international 15, but that of course includes government and military and academic mostly. And then Skywarn, which is actually a National Weather Service program where ham radio operators are involved, and also people that report severe weather to the Weather Service. And there is a ham radio operator that installed a GRB station. And maybe you recognize the antenna there. That's the antenna here. That's Gabriella's antenna. Well, I'm sorry. That's, yeah, next slide. I had changed the slides around. I got an older version here. So sorry about that. I had that in an earlier version, but I'll get to your picture. This is not the latest one I had. Okay, so if you look at this on a map, then the green indicates the receive stations that are receiving GOES 16. The red and orange are sites that plan on installing but have not installed yet. And if you see anything that's not current, let me know. We'll let everybody know. But the orange are sites that are not installed, but they're using Geonetcast until they install their GRB. So you see clearly here that a lot of users are using Geonetcast. We know that, but a lot of users that plan on putting GRB are relying on Geonetcast in the interim. Okay. Okay, now this one is where the mistakes will show up. So is there anything here that doesn't look right? Because what I try to do is just kind of focus on the Caribbean. And I kind of cut it off a little bit, but okay. A little formatting issue there. Actually, I can skip that slide. All right. Okay, move on to HRIT MWIN. Our program manager for HRIT MWIN is Seth Clevenstein and works with me. But notably, Paul used to have that job before he retired, so he can certainly answer any questions that you have. So as I mentioned, it's operational in GOES 16 with a data relay capacity of 400 kilobits per second. The MWIN content, which is the virtual channels 20 to 22, it's in test mode and is expected to be operational in August. And the initial offering includes the MWIN products, which are products that are used by emergency managers, including National Weather Service watches, warnings, forecasts, graphics. And very importantly, the HRIT MWIN includes the GOES DCS observations. And the GOES DCS is moving off of a commercial broadcast at DOMSAT, and a lot of users are moving over to HRIT MWIN to receive their DCS observations. Environmental maritime products as well from the Hurricane Center, and GOES 16 products, including the ABI CMI that I mentioned earlier. That's our key performance parameter. And it's converted to the LRIT/HRIT standard at a 2-kilometer spatial resolution. And band 2 is in 0.5 kilometer for the mesoscale imagery. So it's the products are transmitted as a continuous file on the broadcast. Legacy way of doing things. Retransmissions for more about at that website. And we're planning to do post-launch testing on the HRIT. We're doing it on GRB right now, and we'll be doing it on HRIT. And we're planning on a user group meeting, and right now it's tentatively scheduled for next week, or week after next, second. So the PDA then provides the products to the front-end processor at Wallops, and that's where the broadcast is actually created and then streamed up to the satellite for retransmission. So, so we have a processing stream that's indicated by this diagram, where the products come in or distributed by the PDA. The broadcast management is going to distribute to the broadcast stream services and the front-end processor for uplink to the satellite. So the HRIT M1, we have a similar diagram as to what we had before. You can see the primary HRIT M1 uplink up from Wallops, and then the relay down of the HRIT M1 single. And the PDA then is where that stream is generated or distributed from, I should say. So the HRIT M1 also has a user group. They have 104 sites that are ready, 61 sites that are planned, and 35 that are still unknown. And because these are broadcast services, then we're always trying to find out where our users are and what their plans are. I should mention there's no fee for these services. All you need to do is purchase the equipment, and then you receive the signal. So we've been telling users with the legacy equipment, the LRIT antenna, that they do have to make some changes. There's a new frequency, but the changes are not significant like they were with the GRB. The previous antennas are compatible. We just need to modify the receiver. There's more information on the GOES-R website, and there's also a prototype solution that's available. There've actually been some hobbyists, some people, amateur users, who have created their own solution at very low cost. I mentioned the data collection system earlier. The transmission rates are 300 bits per second and 1,200 bits per second up to the satellite from the data collection platforms. And then the data is received at Wallops, and it is available for download by users, or it's also put on HRIT M1 for transmission so that HRIT M1 users can receive it. We have over 28,000 platforms that are transmitting data up through the service. And in addition to the water levels and weather observations, we have tide gauges and tsunami buoys and sensors. So there's some very important data that's on here, and a lot of volume, 8 million observations per day. And this is a diagram of the data collection system. Start with the observing platform. The transmitters transmit up, 300 and 1,200 now, baud, up to the satellite, which is used as a transponder, and which is a center, USGS center in South Dakota. They receive it as well. And on the HRIT M1. Okay, back to processing here for the GOES-R series. We have all these products that are the baseline products. The aerosol detection, aerosol optical depth, clear sky mass, cloud and moisture imagery is the one that's our mission critical one, and so on. Cloud top height, cloud top phase, cloud top pressure. Drive motion winds is an important product where you can actually get wind vectors from the derived from the basic radiance data. And we've got a great lesson from Scott on fire and hotspot characterization tomorrow. The hurricane intensity estimation, we're still working on getting that one through the validation process, but we are progressing with that. But most of these are moving along really well. And we have the volcanic ash detection height. These are all the space weather products. The GOM is a lightning detection that has events, groups, and flashes. And there's a new product on the Geonetcast now, made available by Brazil. The SICE products, magnetometer, the EXIS, and the SUVI products. So most of the level 2 products are all generated in the environmental satellite processing and distribution system. And this actually runs at the center in NOAA Satellite Operations Facility in Suitland. There's a product generation component and a product distribution part, which I've been talking about a lot, which is the product distribution and access. And then the PDA also feeds the HRIT M1 data stream through the front-end processors, and also feeds the data to the contractor who makes the Geonetcast America's data flow up to the commercial satellite to the users. And we have high-speed network and services that we maintain through the center in order to do all that. So we do use our NOAA high-speed wide area network, the N-Wave, for terrestrial communications. We actually do have a connection they haven't talked about between Wallops and Suitland that we can feed the GRB data to NSOF without using the GRB antenna. And we use that mostly during post-launch testing. Okay. And this is a wiring diagram of what the ESPDS looks like in the ESPC. So we have the GRB receiver at NSOF, which is the primary means. It feeds the GO16 data into the product processing zone to the product distribution access, so users can retrieve it off of the PDA. And these are the authorized operational users that have real-time needs, like meteorological services. Now we have a contemporary or a concurrent thing that's working now with the legacy system, just to show you that the GOES 14 and 15 uses the legacy GeoProd system and geodistribution system as well. Wallops also receives the GOES 16 data, as you know, and then we have our backup for Wallops for the legacy system. And then we have our backup for GOES R series in West Virginia. So I've talked about this already, so let's get through this. Oh, actually I haven't talked about this yet. I did mention that we have to be very careful about our capacity in the PDA. It's a relatively new system. We budgeted for so much capacity in the near term. So although we recognize the need for full and open exchange, we provide that through a combination of services. So non-real-time users are encouraged to retrieve data through CLASS, which is the archive. Real-time users can use the GRB capability, and PDA for authorized operational users like meteorological services. So we're limiting our access to the PDA. And because of that, I don't think there are many people in the room here that are actually going to be requesting PDA access, if any. So we have the slides here, and we have an access request form that users fill out. And then thanks to Martine, he actually, he just put it in here, so it's okay. I don't blame you. So I guess if anybody has a need to use this access form and has any questions, contact us, and we can always get some help from international activities if we need it and film this out. And then our PDA users follow rules of behavior for access. This is always a challenge for us to provide support through the PDA. We had budgeted for a certain amount, and we pretty much have reached it now with NEWS, GOES, and R and JPSS satellites. So we have to limit the number of people that have access to this. And in fact, we've frozen new subscriptions until we come up with a new policy. The best way to go, if you don't need the data in real time, is to go through CLASS. CLASS is NOAA's archive and delayed mode distribution system for distribution of NOAA and U.S. Department of Defense, both POS, polar, and geostationary data. It stores an average of 130 terabytes a month of data. The total amount of data in CLASS is almost 11 petabytes, and a number of GOES 16 ABI Level 2 products are now available through CLASS. There is a delay, so it's not real time, but it does meet the research needs. There's some description here where to find certain products. I won't read all this, but it's all available on the CLASS website, which I have the link for. So let's see. So on the top there, the very top, the columns are the one on the very left is class order types. So the order types are the ad hoc orders, large orders, block orders, and subscription. And then the next column is average completion time. So the average completion time for an ad hoc order is usually within 12 to 24 hours. And average completion time for block orders, more than 48 hours. A standing order, the delay is less than 6 to 7 hours. So if you know what you're going to need, doing the subscription is the way to go. The next column is average file limit. So ad hoc orders are limited to 500 files, and large orders are limited to 1,000 to 3,000 files. And block orders are limited to 3,000 to 6,000 files, and subscription orders, there's no limit. The last column there is contact the class help desk, and you don't contact the help desk for ad hoc orders or large orders, but you do contact the class help desk to set up block orders and subscriptions. So if you were to set up a block order or a subscription, you would call them rather than doing it online. So this shows the data availability in class for GOES, POES, JSON, and SNPP. And as I mentioned, GOES is 3 to 4 hours. So the way to start this then is to go to this link and register, set up your user preferences, select a data family to search. Search for data, select the files, and you review a shopping cart, just like you're buying something online. Review your order status, and then confirm your order in how to do it. So Jim, you'll be getting a lot more on this during the workshop. Yeah, I've got actually 2 things going on here. So do you want me to advance it for you? So this will be this one, and then this one's just right here.
Yeah. Muchas gracias. Terminado este segmento, vamos con la última parte del día de hoy y queremos darle la bienvenida a la doctora Natalia Donahoe, quien ahora nos hablará del sistema GNC. Correct? Thank you.
Hola. There's only one word I know. Real nice to see you all. How many people familiar with Geonetcast Americas? Raise your hand. Thursday, because we're going to have a real lengthy overview and also hands-on experience, but really happy to announce that we're going to have some disaster preparedness exercises. So again, this is just a quick introduction because I'm new into this role. I'm a new program manager for Geonetcast America. I replaced Paul, who retired. Working with you and our international partners, but we'll also have one of our partners from Brazil, Diego. He's here with us, and he has extensive experience on setting up stations and helping users with Geonetcast America antennas, equipment, and basically we're here all week, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you have, including the products, the upcoming exercises, or if you have questions, like Jim was just saying, there are so many options to get data from NOAA satellites. But what if you don't have a budget for GRB? What if you don't have subscription to PDA? And what if it's too late to get data from class? So Geonetcast Americas is a really valuable option. In fact, it's affordable compared to other systems. And also, you can set it up yourself. I know there are also off-the-shelf options available, and I have happy to talk to somebody who's interested in purchasing and getting the system. So we have a lot of information. But just a quick over. yeah, just I'm not going to go into details because of the timing and also because I have really extensive introduction to Geonetcast America on Thursday. I have an hour talk with all details that you need to know and you want to learn. But basically, even as I speak, my slides are outdated because we now have 81 users in 19 countries, not 78, and it's continually growing. I also have user group that we just started in June, and we'll have quarterly meetings, so the same information exchange and basically a forum for our partners and providers who can discuss upcoming issues and data. I'm also happy to report that aside from GO16 and GOES-R data that Jim's highlighted today, we also have JPSS Apollo data available on Geonetcast Americas and have like including day-night band that you probably heard of. So really interesting set of products. Again, just a quick overview. This is what you have on Geonetcast America for GO16 and which way? I'm not sure which way. It's okay. The next one. Go next one. And what I wanted to highlight, by the way, all the presentations from the workshop will be available online somewhere, right? So you don't have to take notes. And what's important that all the slides have some links that are live links. So you can actually click on the links and it will bring you to the correct information. So we have a lot of documentations and lessons learned and instructions online. So you can get it both from NOAA sites and both from Brazilian and NPA. So, and if, in fact, if you have any questions, take this opportunity and talk to us because we're here for you. We're experts from our agency, but we're here to work with you and talk about your questions and hopefully resolve them. So I'm not going to take much time, but I'm really excited again. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. And I hope I'll learn more Spanish by the end of this week. So, so thank you. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Natalia. So this is somewhat of a summary slide. So what this does is this shows you the two direct broadcasts and the rebroadcast. So the two direct broadcasts are the GRB operating at 31 megabits per second with a latency of less than 10 seconds from product generation to receipt by a direct broadcast user like the station here. And HRIT MWIN is built for a different purpose, and because of the way we distribute the data, it has a little bit more latency, but still good at 4 minutes. 400 kilobits per second because we want users to be able to use a relatively small antenna. And so this antenna would normally be 4.5 meters, could be smaller, could be larger. This HRIT MWIN antenna should be, Paul, a meter or so. HRIT MWIN, 1.8. Geonetcast, 1.8, 2.4. Key environmental data sets by providing copies of NOAA's information in the cloud. Now, there's a great website there. It has information about the project, and even more importantly, you can go to the different companies that are participating in this process, and you can retrieve GO16 products off the cloud from these links. There are more participants in this demonstration, but these are the three that have GO16 data. So there are lots of websites that have GO16 data. The Goes East Image Viewer is the NOAA website, the primary one, and it also we have other sites that link to this. And you can go to this website and download a variety of the GO16 products, different bands, different scans, and including the image that you see here. There's the local website here has great products on it that you can go to and retrieve that I'm sure you're familiar with. I made this a little while ago, so these aren't current. The Colombian Air Force has a website that they maintain, and they're looking into installing a GRB receiver. Right now they're pulling these products off of the NOAA website. The University of Wisconsin, where Scott is from, has several places where you can go to get imagery. This is one of them, and it has a great variety of products that you can pull on ABI. So a lot of functionality there that you can explore. And they have several sites that you can go to. And I've also put in here a link that University of Wisconsin provided with all the websites that they have discovered as well. Another cooperative institute, NOAA has cooperative institutes that work with us closely. University of Wisconsin SIMS is one. The Colorado State University CIRA is another one. And CIRA has this website called The Slider. And this is a website that a lot of people use. So a number of universities are retrieving data, and a number of them retrieve them from UNIDATA, UCAR, which is the University Corporation of Atmospheric Research. And UCAR has a GRB antenna and then provides data to universities, including this one here. This DuPage, I believe. NASA has their NASA Sport website. I'm going to get a better one here at the end, I think. Maybe not. Yep. This is the NASA Sport GOM data overlaid on top of ABI, ABI channel 14. And back, this is NASA Sport with ABI imagery. And University of Maryland has GOM data, lightning data as well. Yep, I think that's it. So UCAR supports universities with data. They're receiving GO16 and they're ready for GO17. They also receive GO16 products on NOAA port, which I mentioned with the Satellite Broadcast Network. You can go to the UNIDATA homepage for more information, but they provide about 4 different ways of getting products, including the McIDIS Abstract Data Distribution Environment, which a number of people use with McIDIS, the Threads Data Server, which provides access for a variety of applications for NOAA port and GRB delivered content. It has a website, and the Internet Data Distribution, which is a real-time data push for NOAA port and GRB content. And you can get more information from them. So I've listed all these links so you can go and look at these websites and enjoy those. And I've listed some other links as well, where you can get additional information, including the Big Data Project. And again, our notification. And I really encourage you to subscribe to the ESPC help desk if you need that information, because the ESPC stands for the Environmental Satellite Processing Center, and they issue all notifications of changes to our satellite constellations, product outages, things that GRB receivers need to know, but it's useful to other people as well. So what I've hoped we've done here is provide you enough information about GRB that you see the benefits of it as a fast and reliable way of retrieving products. The HRIT MWIN provides low-resolution imagery, but it serves the needs of emergency managers. The cost is a lot less. GRB receivers are pretty intensive as far as the hardware, software it takes to install them. HRIT MWIN is a much less expensive installation. Geonetcast as well. So that we feel like we're providing a number of different ways for people to retrieve the GOES-R series products, in addition to our operational users that retrieved it on the PDA. And we think with class that we pretty much have everybody covered as far as meeting their needs within our capability and our resources. And then we've got users that are retrieving the data and then providing value-added products like they are here. So I think there's a lot of great stuff going on that we're very excited about. And then again, all the acronyms for you at the end. Thank you, Gabby. Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll leave it up to you. You want to take if you'd like to.
Bueno, no hay luces. Gracias. Con esto concluimos la sesión del día de hoy del taller, pero tenemos algunos minutos por si alguno de ustedes quisiera tener alguna pregunta en concreta para aquí nuestros ponentes y aprovechar el tiempo que nos sobra, y también salimos también temprano para que no nos toque el tráfico. Entonces, aquí me apoya Jesús con el micrófono. Si alguien de ustedes tiene una pregunta, por favor levante la mano y llegamos hacia ustedes.
You mentioned the Mode 6, and the Mode 6 is only going to be available for GOES 17, or GOES 16 is going to have also Mode 6.
Okay, thank you very much. Gabby, as usual, is keeping me out of trouble. Yes, I was supposed to say that if we decide to use Mode 6, we will use it for both GOES 16 and GOES 17. So we would use them for both satellites. Yeah, thank you very much.
Are you aware of the increase of amount of data, because it's an issue?
Okay, good. Well, Paul told me that. So I think what we need to do is, because the Weather Service is going to be the primary input for the decision, we need to make sure that the decision makers know what the impacts are. So I'll take that for an action that we have to figure out within my branch how we make sure to get that information up to the decision makers so they know what the impacts are.
Because I don't know if I'm excited or worried about it.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul was on that right away. Anything you want to say?
No, if you could put slide like 62 back up.
Absolutely.
I think it's for the Geonetcast links so that people can take a look before Friday's.
Am I using the wrong PC? All right, okay, let's see. Oh, what happened? I thought I had it there a minute ago. Should be connected to that one there, right? I can do it, well.
That's all right.
I don't have control of it here, but maybe somebody does. Yeah.
The next one, I think.
Gracias.
Okay, gracias.
Bueno, es geonetcast.americas.gov. Dice, pone en tu search Geonetcast blog at IMPE, you'll find it right away. Lo encuentro en UNAM.
Okay.
Another question. Yeah. About mesoscale. You mentioned that we, in some event, may request a mesoscale. It would work for Mexico. I mean, we can have an institution designed by Mexican government. How it works? Yeah.
Well, usually it would be a government representative, but I think what needs to happen is somebody from Mexico that wants to be the point of contact, who wants to be the official point of contact, needs to contact Catherine Moser at that email address. So if you want to talk to her and gather more information, you might be able to help with that decision.
Yeah, because that's something that we have to discuss as a country and to see who is the best to decide. Perhaps in a prueba, I don't know.
Well, if you need anything more from us, feel free to talk to Catherine.
Yeah,
but usually that would be a government contact.
Because I don't know, well, university is supposed to be also government, but it's not that.
Understand.
So I think a real governmental institution has to be part of that.
Okay. Good questions. Thank you.
¿Alguna otra pregunta por aquí?
Yes.
Okay.
Bueno, pues no veo más preguntas por el momento. Les agradecemos mucho su tiempo. Como ven, estamos cerrando a las 4 en punto de la tarde, lo cual creo que es conveniente para todos tener un poco más de luz y no que nos toque el tráfico horroroso de esta ciudad. Gracias y esperamos contar con su participación el resto de los días. Les recuerdo, hoy, mañana y el miércoles es exclusivamente el taller relacionado con el satélite GO-16 y sus aplicaciones y usos. Y a partir del los jueves y viernes estaremos enfocados exclusivamente en los temas de la antena Geonetcast y tendremos muchas cosas interesantes también que tenemos planeadas con este sistema. Muchas gracias, muy buena tarde y esperamos mañana su participación con nosotros y la comida estará como siempre y así. Hasta luego.